hater. Drinking the haterade.
What color?
Guess we'll find out today, won't we?
No guesses from you?
Purple.
Ooh. So you think the Chiefs are winning?
I don't know. I'll tell you what I think in a little bit here.
Oh, well, I'm ready when you are. I don't really got much since you took over the realm. Took the helm. You said, "Get out of here, bruh." You flicked me off.
Don't
I'm like,
worry.
"Oh, please."
Don't worry, dude. I'm gonna pass you the mic. Don't worry. Don't worry.
No, you don't need to pass me nothing.
He wants me to pass him the mic. He's upset.
No.
He's upset.
That's just the
folks.
unknown for the people.
He's upset.
No, I'm not Drizzy. I'm not upset.
It's all right, dude. They're not like us.
Oh, you think he's singing that today?
I think there might be a riot if he doesn't sing it at some point. He's singing it. It just went. They say he's got a surprise.
Yeah.
He's got a surprise for the halftime
I saw
show.
someone say Tupac flying in from Cuba.
I saw someone say that boy gonna have Adonis hanging upside down over a vat of acid.
I saw that. I saw one that said he's gonna kill Drizzy live on TV.
Oh man, people have been taking this stuff too seriously. I'll tell you what.
Oh man.
All right, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host TB. Got my co-host. He's not only a producer extraordinaire, he's a scriptwriter. Actually,
no, he does not do such
he
things.
helps.
Those don't
He helps
exist no
write.
more.
He helps write the NFL script every year, dude, and everybody knows it now. Jodye, what's up, Joe? Joe, you were expecting to do the episode solo today. You were prepared.
Yeah, I was. I mean, you could get into as that why that would have possibly been the case. I don't want to. I didn't even write that in my script. I missed the whole point of me being solo, off rip. So you can go ahead and talk on that.
Well, over the last month or so, been a lot of change and things happen at the old job, at the old job. Because believe it or not, we're not good enough that this pays the bills. So got to have a real job. And yeah, I know it's a shocker. But got a nice little promotion. Nice little promotion, well earned, I would say. Now the athletic director and the head football coach at Morton ISD. So
There you go. Man does it all. Coaching, teaching. Man's been a hefty plate the last couple weeks.
yeah. So this last week, first week on the job. Quick thoughts, quick learns, quick ideas here. Number one, you are now everyone's favorite person, and everyone wants to meet with you because you now have the power to do things for people. So
yeah.
when that happens, everyone wants their piece of you. So that was a little bit overwhelming, truthfully. Thought I did a good job, at least, of trying to give everyone that time. Number two, being an athletic director means all of the problems of everything somehow end up on your plate. Yeah. So, for instance, softball field. We got a game, home softball game in like 9 days. Is our softball field playable right now? No. Am I going to find a way to make it playable before then? I better. Things like that.
Mean? You gotta like cut the grass. You gotta. It's all muddy. What's the circumstances?
So it's a shared field with the city, and they play Little League on it. So like, you got to change the bases, and when they were changed, like, not all the bases had the base plugs. Also, some of them had like the exposed concrete because the the base, the things that the bases plug into is like cemented into the ground, but some of the cement is exposed, and there's like a hole in some chain link fence and a lot of things. Yeah, so just in general, just like a lot of like things to make the playing surface safe. Like we had to order dirt. You ever had
Yeah.
to order dirt before? We had to order dirt. It's not cheap. So yeah, just drinking a lot of water through a fire hose right now on things like that, trying to figure that kind of stuff out. But um, I mean, so far so good is what I would say. Just it's kind of like any new job. Like you get the job and you're like excited, and then that period of excitement kind of goes away because you actually have to learn how to do the job, and
Yeah.
then it's that period of like a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of like I'm uncomfortable. I got to figure this out. It's interesting because same workplace, same people, completely different role, completely different relationships.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird that way. It's not like anything I've ever really experienced because, again, you're in the same place, so it should feel like similar, but it really doesn't.
Well, you're
It's
now the
just so
go-to
because
guy for most people.
yeah, it's so different. So, but we're getting there. We're figuring it out as we go. Pretending like we know what's going on. And then, the old saying, "Fake it till you make it." I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. But
Pretty cool
that
said
being
that.
said, wasn't sure if we were going to be able to do this. It's Super Bowl weekend though. Like, had to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
This is the last game of the year. Could not
yeah,
go out with anything.
your boy Jodye was prepared to do it solo. Um, hence
Probably
why
wouldn't have
he
been
wrote
fun.
hence why he wrote a script for himself. Which I still kind of want to hear parts of this. I'd like to still hear the opening bit here. So I'm
You
gonna
want me
pass the mic.
to open it how I would have
Yeah.
started the episode on my own?
Well, at least like the
Or you
first
want me to talk
things
about
first.
Jameis
Yeah, yeah,
Winston?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Nolans,
All right. So
Nolans.
word for word, we got first things first, man. We got some new news. New news, if you know what I mean. And then I'm just joking. NFL news. Excuse me. We got some news around the league. Oh, that was supposed to be me making fun of the new news. So here we go. Just where my head's at. So some news around the league. So we've seen JMO living his best life in Nolans. We've seen him asking questions for why is it asking questions? I just completely missed a whole line. He was asking questions at the at the media day. He asked our guy Saquon, "Yo, where do you think I should play next year?" He said, "They need a QB in New York." He said, "Which New York?" Pretty funny. And then and then the next thing says we seen him biking around the town. Word to my guy Frank Ocean. And then seen him eating the W on a beignet, talking about how he couldn't eat it because it was too precious. and then I said everything this dude touches turns to gold like Midas because he's just that funny. Everyone loves him. We appreciate him. Just a genuine dude who is great time to hang with. Seems like that was that whole first part. And then I
Yeah.
was gonna talk about the honors that you got everyone but Joey B, who I had because he needed to win
Dude,
something.
I almost swept. I was that close. We'll just run down those awards real quick. NFL MVP, maybe the most controversial award of the night. Josh Allen did
My
not think
MVP,
it was the wrong
the
choice.
actual MVP.
Did not think it was the wrong choice. I thought that was right. Thought Lamar made it close. I mean, I made the case. We went through it on the last episode. I would have picked Josh Allen. I see why a lot of people did. It was close, but Josh Allen was the guy this year. Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain.
PS2.
Also the guy I picked there. Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon. Very easy. That was like the easiest one of the night, I
Say
thought.
quads if you read that part.
Saquads. The Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse. Felt like that was a pretty easy one as well. The real easiest one of the night might have been Offensive Rookie of the Year, and that's just
Yeah.
because Jaden Daniels was so good.
JD5, aka JD7, because of Jack Daniels. I don't know if you got
Okay.
that last week.
I did not, and I did read
And
through
I
this,
had that written down.
and yeah, you're right. I did not get that. And then Kevin O'Connell getting the coach of the year, which I also accurately predicted. Then the last one that we did not predict, or I didn't, you did, I think, was Joe Burr, Joe Cool, Joe
Shiesty.
Joe Shiesty, whatever you want to call him. He's Jose Barroze. Joe Burrow
Comeback player of
won
the
the
year.
comeback player of the year. Not Sam Darnold, not DeMar Hamlin, not I don't know if we mentioned any of the other. Can't remember the other finalists. Oh, Christian Gonzalez, I think, was the other finalist there.
Tough.
But yeah, Joe Burrow, comeback player of the year, the only award I didn't accurately predict. So felt good about that, actually. Feel pretty good. And so that's kind of what happened with NFL honors. Not a lot of surprises, I would say. It's pretty standard. I was a little unsure who might win MVP. I thought it was close, and it was close, but it was more Josh Allen on the voting. They released the voting, which I don't think the
27,
voters.
23 or something.
Yeah, I don't think the voters knew they were going to do that. So it was a little messy, a little
Crazy.
kind of fun. So they did release those votes though, and so we got to see kind of who voted for who. But yeah, Josh Allen won pretty narrowly, but yeah, like you said, I think it was 27-23 in terms of first place votes there. So we move on to the Super Bowl here. Obviously, the reason we're here, yeah, I guess we have to mention the Pro Bowl as a footnote. I mean,
Yeah, did you like that?
you called it a snooze fest. Yeah, you called it a snooze fest. I agree. There's a reason I was going to just skip over it. I don't even watch it anymore. I have
That's
no
what
idea
I'm
who
saying. I don't
won.
watch it either.
Yeah, I don't even know who won or
Eli
what it
won.
was.
Eli's 3-0 in the flag football. That
Well, maybe
does
Peyton
something
will
I
get him
learned.
in the kick of destiny today. So, okay. The real reason you guys are here for our Super Bowl analysis, or even maybe the, as you said, the free Kendrick concert,
Yep.
and the commercials and the food, of course. Okay. Jodye, do you want to set the stage for what this Super Bowl features? And then I'll give us some quick thoughts and analysis.
What do you mean? Like the like headlines that we could see coming out of this game,
Yeah,
or
yeah. You're a big headlines guy. You like the storylines. Give them all to us. What are we looking for in this Super Bowl, dude?
All right, so I mean, you could start off with the three-peat, as that probably won't be called because apparently Pat Riley has a trademark on that, so
He
they got to
licensed
figure
it
out something
to
out.
the NFL. He said the NFL
Oh,
could use it. He
there you
that
go.
for
If they
I'm sure
win,
not a cheap price, but
yeah,
he's letting them use it. They paid him
there you
something
go.
so
See,
they can do
learn
it.
something new. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
so they'll have the three-peat coming from the Chiefs. If they win, it'll be depending on what happens. Did you know that our guy Patty Mahomes has had a double-digit deficits in four of his Super Bowl appearances, and obviously he's won 3 of them. The only one
Wow.
he lost was to Tom Brady
Yep.
when he was on Tampa Bay. What else do I have over here? I mean, if you go on the flip side, though, the other side, you could see the Eagles winning. They're obviously going to stop the three-peat. It'll be their first Super Bowl in the last 3 years, made it twice. You have probably Saquon going crazy somewhere in there. That's got to be a big factor in my eyes. You could have it also goes back to the way I saw this playing out too, is if the Eagles win, it's kind of like the year the Patriots went undefeated and then lost to Eli in the Super Bowl. So that's like that'd be kind of crazy to see. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just there's a lot of things that could that sway me both ways, and the one I think the most is just entertainment business. So the three-peats happening.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels you can draw between the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes Chiefs and the Bill Belichick, Tom Brady Patriots, obviously. And people have drawn those parallels and all the success and everything like that. But then there's also again some comparisons you can draw with the Eagles themselves. The Eagles played those Patriots on their run, and I mean obviously split up a difference of like 13 years rather than
Yeah.
3 here. But beat them once and lost to them once. So, Philly's no stranger to seeing dynasties in the Super Bowl, is what we're saying, and
Oh,
they've had
speaking
some
of that,
success.
when they played them the second time, it would have been a three-peat had they beat the Eagles in that middle game. Because they beat them, they
Because
won, they lost, and then they won.
yeah. They beat the Falcons, lost to the Eagles, and then beat the Rams the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at some of the big questions here. We'll go through the big questions for each of these teams. Number one, big question for the Chiefs defense. All right. Can they limit the explosive run production of Saquon Barkley? I mean, I feel like a broken record. Every game with the Eagles has kind of been talking about, hey, what can you do with
60-yarder.
Saquon, right? The Chiefs have had two weeks to prepare for this. In all 3 playoff games, Saquon has had at least one rush of 17 plus yards.
Mm-hmm.
We categorize explosives as 12 plus yard runs. So that means he's had at least one, but in multiple
Once they
games,
had like 3
multiple
touchdowns.
explosive runs. And at least in the last 2, he's had multiple rushes of 60 plus. Many of his yards come from the explosives, even when teams do a good job of bottling him up for most of the game. It's like, hey, on all the rushes that are on explosive runs, he's only averaging 2 yards a carry, right? Whatever.
Mhm.
But then all it takes is 2, 3 explosive runs, and all of a sudden he's almost 200 yards on the day or whatever, and there's not much you can do there. So the Chiefs rank as a top 10 rush defense in every metric, which makes this a real strength on strength matchup. In order to stop the explosive runs, they're going to need to keep a too high shell, though. So this is kind of counterintuitive, right? Because most people think, all right, if we want to stop the run, we need to stack the box, load the line of scrimmage. We talked
Yeah,
about
but they
this a
got
little
too
bit
many
with
weapons outside.
Washington. Well, yeah, I mean, but we talked about this a little bit with Washington. If you stack the box and you put 8 in the box and you keep one high safety, if they block it up right and Saquon makes the first guy miss and he's second level, there's no one really
That's the last
behind you.
dude. Yeah.
There's no one really behind you to make that play now. So now instead of it being like a 15-yard run, it becomes a 60-yard run, right?
Yeah.
And we have a clip of this, we can show real quick to kind of help make this point. So we talked about this going into the NFC Championship, right? We said, hey, Washington's got to do a good job of, yes, we want to stop the run, but man, it's scary if you really load the box and you only have one high safety, because you're saying that guy's got to beat Saquon in a one-on-one and get him to the ground. How many safeties are doing that right now in the league? It's just not many, right? You got to have kind of get lucky almost. So this is the first play of the game of the NFC Championship for the Philly offense anyway, right?
Yeah.
So Hurts was going to check out to something different, and I'm fairly certain that Saquon convinced him to go back to the original play instead of canning it, and they got back under center, run the motion with Devontae Smith. They get the little flip out to Saquon. Number one, the block by A.J. Brown to seal this edge. It's a little pin and then pull action, right, with Goddard
That's
and
funny.
Mailata.
Our guy Taylor Lewan mentioned that. He was like, big block here by whatever his at is. It was funny.
AJ Brown, man. I mean, it was a big block, right? So you seal a lot, and then the whole O-line is sealing backside. They don't really get up to Bobby Wagner, but it's okay because you have Saquon Barkley. Okay, so Mailata gets his block. Bobby Wagner actually kind of gets caught in the wash and falls here. Goddard is just eliminating this DB. So now look at the hole.
Yeah, that's massive.
And all of your bodies that you had to stack the run are all caught up in this. So now this guy ain't making the play, and there's also a receiver who's trying to keep up with him to keep the block. You just have one high safety, and it's Saquon with 5, 10, almost 15 yards of room between him and this one high safety. And that's the only person who could, like, you're giving him a 15-yard. Imagine if we set up a drill where it's like, all right, here's Saquon Barkley, 15 yards away, here's a defender, and here's numbers to the sideline of room. for Saquon to work. I mean, you'd be like, hey, that's an unfair drill. The defender never makes that tackle. Well, boom, miss, make you miss, and gone. 60-yard play right off the rip. There's an explosive. So right away. But again, I admire like the Washington commitment to stop the run. Hey, we're putting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the box, but because it's condensed formation, 6, 7, 8 really in the box, 9 if you're including that one.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep one high safety. Well, that one high safety has to make that tackle right there.
Well,
and the problem with one high safety
DB too, though, that starts there.
The problem with one high safety against Saquon in this rushing attack is, yes, you might have some success kind of stopping Saquon runs before they get started, but you're also gambling that essentially you better stop it before it gets started, because if it gets rolling and it gets second level, you're not making that play in the secondary. And that's what happened to Washington. It's what happened to the Rams a ton. You if your safety, you get one shot, one high safeties get one shot to find the angle. And if they mess it up, it's done. That's it. You don't recover in that situation, especially against Saquon Barkley. So, in my opinion, the Chiefs would be better served to say, we're going to sit in 2 high shells. We're not going to give Saquon explosive runs. If it's an 8-yard run and we make the tackle, fine. And you kind of have to live with that. I haven't seen a team with a rushing attack like this, where you're actually saying stay in a 2 high shell to prevent the explosive run, not the explosive pass.
Yeah.
It's actually insane, which is why, but it's the combination though of that offensive line with that running back. It's that true. Those two things together, it's like nothing we've seen in the NFL in quite some time. And then obviously you still have like all the pass catchers that kind of make you say, well, okay, we can't just like not play a competent defense that defend. Like, it's not like they can only run the ball. We have to still play real defense. So that's the big question for the Chiefs defense, I think. Can you just limit Saquon? Maybe he has 120 yards, but it's not because one of the runs was 60, right? You have to try and limit that.
You made him get 20-something rushes to get that?
Yeah, you make him go the long way to get the 120 yards. Make him go with 25 rushes, 25 carries or whatever, and try and limit the explosive runs, because this Philly offense in the postseason has lived off of his explosive runs. On the flip side, I would say the big question for the Eagles defense is, can they disrupt the rhythm passing game that has kept the Chiefs on schedule all season long? The Chiefs, we know they're one of the worst teams in explosive play rate, but they have been just efficient. They're on time. It's almost back to like the Andy Reid roots of just West Coast offense, get the ball out, get it to your playmakers right now, and keep the rock moving, right? Patrick Mahomes been very efficient in the postseason. He's 34-51 for 67% in the 2 games that they've played. He's averaging 12.4 yards per completion as well, which has generally been from just the timing and rhythm. The first offensive series they had against Buffalo, you watch, he got the ball out. It was snap, 1, 2, get it out. Snap, 1, 2, get it out. Snap, 1, 2, get it out. Snap, 1, 2. Oh, I don't like it. I'll run. Snap, 1, 2, get it out. Right. And that's all they did all the way down the field, eventually into a touchdown. The Eagles mostly play too high and split safety looks to help take away some of the explosives. And that's a Fangio staple, right? But they'll need to be sticky underneath. They got to take away completions. Now, they do rank 3rd in the NFL in opponent completion percentage, 1st in opponent yards per pass. So it's another strength-on-strength matchup here. And they're going to have to be very efficient. Like, I wonder how much man Fangio plays today, because, you heard like Kyle Hamilton on Radio Row this week. He was talking about how you play the Chiefs and what you have to do. And he's basically like, if you sit in zone, Patrick Mahomes and those receivers will carve you up. You kind of have to challenge the receivers. You have to play man. You have to kind of throw off timing, and you got to make them beat you vertically, and you just got to win your one-on-one matchups. And that's the only way to play them. And then it's still like, hey, you got to limit Mahomes running the ball. You got to keep him caged in the pocket with your pass rush and all of that. So there's so many things, but the Eagles, defensively, they're equipped for that. Can they do it, right? Now, if we go to the offensive side, the big question for the Chiefs offense, can they create 1 to 2 explosive plays that don't have to originate with Patrick Mahomes. We know what he can do extending. We know how he makes plays, but like, can they get something in the run game? Can they get something yard after catch that will,
D-Hop.
make it a big time play? We know how special Mahomes is, but we also know he can't win the game by himself. Most Super Bowls include at least one big play by a role player, right? Could we see an explosive run from Pacheco or a slant
Big
that
catch by
Hollywood
Juju.
Brown takes for 50, right? The Chiefs, they need at least one explosive play from one of those role guys. A couple years ago in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, it was the Kadarius Toney punt return, right? Something like that. Again, we can go to the tape here and look at in that AFC Championship game. This actually shows both points we're making here. The challenge for Philly in terms of stopping the rhythm passing game, and then also can the Chiefs produce, an explosive play from their passing game that isn't just Mahomes being special. This is that first drive we talked about against Buffalo in the AFC Championship, where Mahomes was doing a very good job of just getting the ball out of his hands. Okay, he sends Travis Kelce in the motion. Number one, this motion takes everyone's eyes and puts it where? Outside. And they see Kelce running the outside release. It kind of frees up just enough when you move this defender. It gives Juju Smith-Schuster just enough space right here, and you've got a rotating one high safety. So you've got to fit that ball between the flat defender, the hook defender, over the top of them, in between them, but not so deep that the safety can make a play either. Get a little kind of RPO action, right? Or play action really is what it was. You see he looks at Kelce, right? Yeah. He's got Xavier Worthy coming underneath, which holds this backer. Looking at Kelce, makes this guy move just a little bit. And now where's the window? It's going to be right on the hash at about 10 yards deep for Juju Smith-Schuster. And look how quick he gets that ball out. He trusts it. He doesn't even see it. He just knows it's going to be open because of the way the defense is playing and the way this play is designed. He gets it to Juju. So that's the rhythm passing part of it that I say Philly's going to struggle to stop because of the way they play defense. They're kind of inviting you to make those throws and be precise and be 100% and get the ball out, right? That's the kind of play Philly invites you to make defensively, and then they're betting on tackling the catch there, right? So that's the challenge on the Philly defense. But then on the Chiefs offense, hey, you complete that pass, but now watch what Juju does when he gets it in his hands.
Yeah.
Right now he turns it into an explosive, and that's something they did. That's something they did a very good job of in this AFC Championship. Whether it was Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith, Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce. They have all of those names now and are all healthy. I figured you'd have a comment on the Juju Selly there.
It crossed my mind.
Okay.
It crossed my mind. I've been thinking of the TikTok days, but he kind of just said, ooh.
So I watched that whole game back, especially that first drive, Yeah. And Hollywood Brown was doing the same celebration, so it was just kind of fun. That was clearly a thing for them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It was almost like a little dance move. Ooh. But that's the kind of stuff where I'm looking for it, because the Chiefs or the Eagles, at least the way they've played defense historically, are saying you have to be perfect underneath, get the ball out on time, be precise, and we'll tackle the catch, which is why they don't, if teams get antsy and they try and go vertical, the Eagles are just prepared. They just play defense so well top down. And they do have a good secondary, obviously, with Slay and Mitchell and DeJean and Blankenship and CJ Gardner-Johnson, right? The exciting Whites tandem, all of that. Like, they have a great secondary that plays well top down, and you have to be efficient. Even Zach Bond and when Nakobe Dean was healthy, dropping into the hook drops, like, they're good athletic linebackers that cover ground. Oren Burks is not maybe the athlete that 17 Nakobe Dean is, but has played well enough, obviously, in his absence. So even the backers dropping into the hook drops and all of that, like, it's not easy, right? To make those throws against this defense. However, that's what Mahomes has done all year. That's what he's been good at. So I do wonder if Fangio changes a little bit, right? Because again, you saw some of those receivers making those plays against Buffalo, it's not just Mahomes getting the ball out, but then them turning it into the explosive play. And that's what I mentioned. The Chiefs offense will likely need that because they're not going to probably be able to get the go ball over the top. Those receivers aren't really built that way.
Xavier Worthy.
Maybe, right?
It finally happened.
So there's a nice little like cat and mouse game there, I would say, between Andy Reid and Vic Fangio, Patrick Mahomes, and that Philly secondary that I'm curious to watch. Now, the last thing I have here, big question for the Eagles offense. Can they incorporate A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith into the playoff success that Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert have been having? Obviously, we know what Saquon has done this postseason is on the verge of being historic. He needs 168, really 169 rushing yards to have the greatest postseason in NFL history. He would beat out John Riggins' record of 610 postseason rushing yards. He also is not that far. I think he's like 40 yards from having the most total season rushing yards ever, which belongs to Terrell Davis for regular season plus postseason production. So if he gets the 169 yards, he would own the postseason record and the total season record in this one game. So obviously, one of the greatest rushing seasons the NFL has ever seen. We know what he's doing. In addition, then Dallas Goedert been the favorite target for Hurts this postseason. Guy has 15 catches, 188 yards, and a touchdown. And meanwhile, the tandem of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have combined for 21 catches, 240 yards, 241 yards, and one touchdown. So the Dallas Goedert production is almost matching the A.J. Brown plus Devontae Smith production this postseason. So the question is, can Jalen Hurts manage to get all of those guys going together in the same game? Because they're going to need more than Saquon to beat Mahomes. And it can't just be Dallas Goedert. Like they're going to need those other dudes to be playmakers, which they are. And you got to get them the ball. So can they do that in this game, right? Those are the big questions that I see going into it. Obviously, special teams always plays a factor. Both of these teams are actually, been pretty good on special teams. We'll see what they can do in the kick return, punt return game. I will say that, if we're lining up field goals and we're wondering, hey, who gives us an edge here? Harrison Butker has been more reliable this year than
Jake the Meg has not been that good, especially in the postseason.
He had some misses against the Rams. So now that was also in the snow. We're going to be in a dome today, so we'll see what happens with that. But that's something to keep an eye on as well, just in terms of the special teams matchup. Jodye, I know you've got some bets up your sleeve.
Yeah. So
take it in any direction. How do you feel?
Kicking it off with your first question of the Chiefs defense and Saquon explosives, blah blah blah. His line for the longest rush on the day is 23.5. So do with that what you will. Pretty high in my opinion, but that's out there. You have you talked about Dallas Goedert more recently before I get to anyone on the Chiefs. His reception line's at 5, receiving's 52.5. His target's at 6. That's kind of, I think he's going to get more target and barely catch all of them basically. But I like Saquon to score, of course. You could even throw Jalen Hurts in there. Though either one of those is probably a solid pick. I have Travis Kelce to score. Sure, why not? I guess that's where I was. DeAndre Hopkins, though, is I think the easiest one. It did not in terms of like I could see it happening, but his line is so low that I feel like they're telling you, hey, this guy is going to be the standout you're talking about with either being Juju or Hollywood Brown. His line is 12.5 receiving yards, which I thought was crazy. I think that means it's finally time for him to go nuts.
His playoff production hasn't been crazy, so that might be why. But Mahomes is not looking for a guy. He's just who's open. That's how he's played. So if D-Hop is open, he may get that in one catch.
Yeah. So I was like, this seems too low for me not to include this. I have I have Chris Jones. I guess they had him at a quarter of a sack. yeah, I expect him to hopefully get one at least. If not, he's gonna assist with someone. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say all he has to do is get a half sack, and he gets that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, that seems pretty solid to me. Saquon's rushing yards is pretty high. It's like 111. I think that's kind of quite a bit.
Yeah.
Since he's been in the playoffs, it's been that high, and I got burned on it a couple times, so I've been staying away. But yeah, in terms of those, that's like the props for like the yards and whatnot. I do like, if you want to get into the more fun ones of of the Super Bowl antics. I like
Yeah.
I
Give us
like
the
heads for kicking it off. I'm a heads
okay.
guy. I know a lot of people
Heads.
are saying tails never fails right now, and I was like, the amount of people saying tails, I think heads got to be the answer.
Okay.
Uh
What's the over under on the anthem this year?
oh, that's a good question. I did not peep
Because
that one.
that's always a fun one. I still remember the Chris Stapleton over under a couple years ago for that Eagles Chiefs one in Arizona. That was a fun one. Obviously we got Gatorade color,
Yeah,
always
so
a fun one.
if you think the Chiefs are winning it, they've had purple the last 2 years. So that's why at the top when I
Okay.
said, "Oh, you think the Chiefs are winning?"
Okay.
But if you want the Eagles to win, I think you go yellow. I don't know how true this is, but our guy Landon Dickerson said they're a lemon lime type team.
Okay.
To do with that information as you will.
Okay.
MVP. This was interesting. I haven't found your answer to that question yet, but it's a three-headed horse: Patty Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Saquon, and then it drops off to Travis Kelce to
Okay.
plus 1200. Uh, what else is on that list? There's a lot, and I don't know why I haven't found it. We normally do a pool of like all those combined. What you
Hmm.
think the over under is and all that. So I have an idea, but I don't know where this is.
Okay.
So hey,
Um,
bad podcasting on my end. I'm sorry, people.
yeah. No, I kind of hit you with that out of nowhere. It was really on me. I was just curious because that's always a fun conversation.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a prop on like what Kendrick Lamar's first song for the halftime show
there
will
is,
be.
but like I said, I don't know. I'm gonna just have to go to
Yeah,
Google and start typing
that's
in
okay.
questions.
That's okay. Um, I do kind of want to talk about the game script of this game, how I see the game flowing. Um, I think it's going to be a lot muddier and more difficult for the offenses than the last version of this Super Bowl. That game had 73 total points. I don't see this one getting over 60. Both defenses are top 10 and have offenses that, while are very talented, have been less consistent than their defenses this year, I would say. The 2 weeks off, always gives the possibility of a slow start. I think the game will take a while to see points, and think I see both defenses getting some sack production. I think there's going to be a combined 6 sacks in this game. They both have strong fronts that get after the quarterback. Chris Jones, Jalen Carter being the big names on each front, but then also, Karl Loftus and Nolan Smith. We might see Brandon Graham back in this game, seems likely for the Eagles. The wily vet, one more game. He's going to give it everything he's got, try and walk out on top. I think third and fourth down conversions are going to be massive plays as the game goes on to extend drives, get points. I think the offenses are talented enough that they'll eventually wake up and produce. It won't be like a 10-7 type of game, but I think it'll be close and it's going to be played in the 20s on each side.
Yeah, my bad. I was kind of finding the answers to all those questions we had earlier. So I was
Yeah,
typing
hit
away.
us.
You probably hear the click clacking in the background. So, well, we'll go to the national anthem. That was the first question you asked. The line on that is 120.5. So if you think it's longer than 2 minutes,
Okay.
so it's
Who's
sung
singing it?
by John Batiste. Don't know
I'm going to
him,
be honest. Don't know who that is. Yeah. So
but
good for Jean Baptiste
yeah,
or
Batiste.
Batiste or okay. Jean, good luck on the national anthem today, buddy.
Now the Kendrick Kendrick first song. Apparently, they're looking at Humble plus 115. DNA Not Like Us plus 210 apiece.
Royalty and inside my DNA. DNA wouldn't be Mad City, man. Go Mad City, Kendrick.
Pyros and Crips all got
All
along.
got along.
Woo! Yeah.
Team like the whole city
that's
going
my
against me every time I'm in the street out here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. I might be
So
kind of
here,
excited during this halftime show.
did I ever tell you about Kendrick tickets?
No.
Well, don't matter because they're gone now. I sold them
Okay.
yesterday. Somebody bought them all. I bought 4 of them. They're all gone.
Okay.
Nice little come up.
Well done.
Yeah. So we have, will a coach or player cry in the national anthem? Will
Sirianni.
you don't know Chris
Sirianni.
Jones, bro. Come on.
Maybe Chris
You
Jones.
seen all the crying he's been doing recently?
Yeah.
He's got to cry in the national anthem. We got, will anyone leave the game and not return due to a concussion? You have this one.
Oh, that's an ugly prop. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
The first thing it says what a creepy bet to place. That's the first line.
That's not don't bet that.
Hey, but it has plus odds. I'm just saying.
No, dude. Rooting for someone's concussion is the ultimate grossest thing I've heard. I'm gonna root for someone to be concussed so I can get money. That's stupid. Anyway, continue.
CT ESPN. They had the Drake curse if the team that he chooses wins. So I guess he went with the Chiefs because it's minus odds. We got how many people will throw a pass. This one's fun. The line's always 2.5, so both QBs and someone else.
Andy Reid generally feels like, and also, you go back a few years, Philly special, yeah, there might be one guy on either side that can throw.
Plus 155, I like that, actually. You have number of beers sold, apparently, is the line.
At the game?
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be in the hundreds.
120K.
120,000.
Yeah.
Beers.
How
many people are at the game?
So apparently there's 76,468 seats. Now, if everyone has 2 beers, too easy. But that's assuming everyone's of age, and then you get into a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Wow, that is okay. Interesting. I didn't.
That's just
I'm learning.
Beers.
I'm learning things that I didn't know you could even.
And you want to know another one? How many times will we see T Swizzle on the TV? Over under 5.5.
I was just gonna say at least 5, and so I guess that would be under if it was just 5. Okay, interesting. All right. Wow. Okay. I think I'm done with the props. I'm not gonna lie. Some of this it just starts getting into the weird.
Doink. You have how many times will the chains come out? 1.5.
Oh,
that's rare now because they're like, let's take it to the booth. Oh, quick review. First down. What are you talking about?
There's too much gambling. I'm just gonna say it. There's too much. It's too much. It's too much. Let's go with the final prediction. And I don't think this is a popular one, but I'm actually going to take the Eagles here, 27-24. I think in the end, the Eagles use a combination of the talented front they have to get pressure on Mahomes. If you think about what's the one Super Bowl Mahomes lost?
Tom Brady.
It was when the Bucs went and got. But yes, Brady. But think about the Chiefs scored 9 points in that game. It wasn't really Brady. It was the Bucs defense. That got after Mahomes, and I think they had 6 sacks in that game, if I remember right. They got after him. There's the famous, him throwing a pass, horizontally to the ground, all that. And Tampa was able to get after him with 4. That was not a very good Chiefs O-line. This Chiefs O-line is probably the worst one since then. They've got a guard playing left tackle, essentially. Joe Thuney's playing left tackle. And I do think this Eagles front has the goods to get after him. We saw the Rams should have beaten Philly had Jalen Carter not gotten that sack on Matthew Stafford and saved the game. I think this Eagles front is up to the task. I think they're going to get pressure on Mahomes. And then I also just keep going back to their offensive line is so dominant. I think they can keep him off the field just enough to get a win. Winning a three-peat is hard for a reason. There's just a reason. No one's ever done it. I think the Chiefs are going to come really close, but I don't think they get it done. And I feel like this has the feeling of that Eagles Patriots Super Bowl, 6, 7 years ago,
Yeah.
when Philly, it felt like was a huge underdog. No one really took them seriously in the game. It was like, oh yeah, Nick Foles and Doug Peterson against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and yet they won that game. Or even the Giants won when, like you said, they were like undefeated and the Giants beat them. No, or even the second one against the Giants. So
Yeah.
I get the feeling of like people aren't giving Philly enough juice to win this game. I think people are just expecting it to be a three-peat because that's what's supposed to happen.
Entertainment.
And truthfully, I think Philly is actually a little bit more talented than KC. The thing that gives you pause is it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo versus Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. And that just feels like a big mismatch. But if you take the rest of the
on
rosters
paper,
and
the whole
coaching
team's
staffs,
a lot better than the Chiefs.
yes. Yes, the Eagles have a better offensive line. They have better weapons. They have a better running back. Defensively, they have a pretty comparable front. I would say both fronts like very good. I wouldn't say one is necessarily better than the other. Backers pretty close. Philly has a better secondary. Maybe you give the edge to the Chiefs in the kicking game, which we talked about a little bit. But for the most part, I think Philly is just a little bit more talented top to bottom on their roster. And also Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio are as skilled like creators of schematics as Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid are. And obviously, Sirianni is the kind of the one who the straw that stirs the drink, I guess, as the head coach. But obviously I would give the edge there to Andy Reid and all that. But the Chiefs have the edge at the two most important positions in the game, head coach and quarterback, but Philly has the edge everywhere else. And I just kind of think that it's hard to three-peat, man. Like, that's hard. People are discounting just how much of a mental toll and how tough and also slightly lucky you have to get to do this. And I just think I think it's going to be close. But ultimately, I think Philly's talent is going to win.
I'm in the same boat. Personally, I put money on the Eagles, right? I couldn't be the guy to sit here and be like, Chiefs are taking it handedly. Because like you said, on paper, everything points towards the Eagles, besides like Sirianni and maybe Jalen Hurts, like you said.
Which, by the way, when you watch the film, a lot of things say Eagles too. It's just that it's no different than every time you thought about, like, I mean, how many Super Bowls did the Patriots win where it kind of felt like paper pointed to the other team, right? It kind of felt that way because it's that boogeyman on the other side, it's Tom Brady, or in this case, it's Patrick Mahomes. Now, at the same time, what's weird about it is how many times did the Patriots lose a Super Bowl that it really felt like they should win? We just mentioned both games against the Giants, that game against the Eagles. And so, I don't know. It kind of feels like the Chiefs have to lose one eventually. Maybe I'm playing the odds here.
Speaking of that, I had that written in my script. Patty Mahomes has been to nothing but a AFC Conference Championship 7 years in a row. That's the worst he'll do in a year. That kind of ties back to where I'm looking. I'm going to tell y'all, I think the Chiefs are winning. That's the entertainment business. That's just the headline you want to see. You know what I mean? The thing that's going to say, boom, look at us. But I have money on the Eagles because I don't want to be the guy to get that wrong. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I know it might sound very dumb where I'm saying I'm going to tell you guys I think the Chiefs are winning because it's like the Doctor Strange and looking at all these options. He's not losing. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? He's got the
Yes.
So I just can't see the Chiefs losing, but
you put money on the Eagles. You can see it happening. You wouldn't put money on the Eagles if you didn't think it could happen. Otherwise you're just throwing your money away. There's no way you're doing that.
It was plus odds. It looked nice. It goes back to what I'm saying right now. There's no reason for me not to choose the Eagles besides I think that it's somewhat rigged, and that I also think the three-peat.
You don't actually think it's rigged. You don't actually think it's rigged.
Did you hear? Okay. Did you hear the
I don't
dude
wanna
talking
hear
to
the
Travis
conspiracy
Kelce?
theory.
Did
I
you hear
don't
him
wanna hear
ask
the
that question to Travis Kelce? He said, "What do you like more, Taylor Swift or Phantom roughing the passer call?"
Yeah, that guy, which by the
Crazy.
way, that guy, however he got his Super Bowl media credential this year, probably doesn't get
Dumb.
it next year. You know, he's not
I
a
don't know
serious
why that.
media member.
I
He
don't
just
know why
wasted
that was
to
a
ask those
question.
questions. I hope it was worth it. But
But
anyway, I
but
think we
yeah,
ended the year. I really,
I
one,
want to
do
see the
not
Eagles
believe in
win. Of course,
I don't
as you
believe it
mentioned, I
being
have
rigged.
money on there.
I don't even care who wins. I'm not doing this because I want to see Philly win or I don't want to see the three-peat. Truthfully, the
I
last
want to
team to
see
win a Super
history.
Bowl
That's the reason I want the Chiefs to win. I want to see history,
the last team to win a
but I
Super
can't
Bowl
see
that
history
wasn't the
all the time.
Chiefs was the Rams. So, I mean, I wouldn't even mind if the Chiefs win and it stays that way, you know? But the reality is, anytime my team isn't playing in the game, of course, I'm rooting for a good game. Of
Hmm.
course, that's always a big
Definitely.
part of it. But also, I don't really have I'd like to see this team or that team win. I don't necessarily share the hatred for the Chiefs that I think some people are starting to get on. Um, however, I just think objectively looking at it, analyzing it, I see a lot of advantages for the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I also just think the reality of three-peating is much harder than people are giving it credit for. Um,
Well, that's why it's
and
never been done. That's why I said I'd want to see history, honestly. But I also
uh,
don't want to miss out on the Eagles winning because then it's like I should have known the Eagles were going to win. Goes
and
back
some
to
people,
what we talked about the Giants and then the Eagles earlier.
I think some people are like, well, okay, what's the difference between this game and the game 2 years ago? Jalen Hurts couldn't get it done, blah, blah. Dude,
Jason
Saquon.
Kelsey. Yeah, Saquon's huge.
Saquon. That's the difference, I think. Saquon in this game will be the difference and why Philly wins. I'm at that point. I think Saquon's that good that he tilts this game in Philly's favor. I think it'll be a great game. Like I said, I think it'll be kind of a slog at times. I think the offenses will struggle more than they did in the game 2 years ago. I think it's played in the 20s. And like I said, final score. I actually predicted this game 100% right 2 years ago. I got the exact right score and all of that. This year, I'm
Dang.
hoping to do it again. I've got Eagles 27, Chiefs 24, and hopefully you enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody.
You be doing squares?
Um, no,
Oh,
probably not. Just hang out and watch the game, dude. I'm not a gambling. I don't do that stuff. I don't play with money like that, bro. You know.
yeah, I feel it. It's just
Um,
fun.
it's fun. It's fun for other people. I get it. I'm not I'm not the one sitting here saying I put money on the Eagles, but I think the Chiefs are inevitable. Like, I don't know how that's fun,
Thanos
but
said it.
it's fun for
Those are
you.
Thanos words.
Uh, but I think we'll get this thing out to y'all, and we'll be back. I don't know when we'll be back. I make no guarantees with this new job. I might be tied up a lot, but we're gonna try and do our NFL draft analysis. I'm sure that'll be the next thing we move on to, which I'm
Yeah.
always very excited for. So, and this draft is loaded at some positions. So, very excited to do some D line, some running backs. We're gonna have some dudes this year in those groups. So, yeah, we'll get to it. But until then, enjoy the Super Bowl and let our guy,
Kendrick concert.
and the Kendrick concert, and let our guy take us out.
Ray Ray.
Ray Ray.